Bashir Yad Sahib has come at last. Any questions, answers, observations? Yes?
So,
Warahmatullah.
The question has been always in my mind for some time. That assess the creation, that all the people who have passed away since the Adam and Islam, as Musa and all these generations after that, if they, after they die, will they all waiting for the time and they always desire stuff?
Haven't you been attending these sessions often?
No,
not frequently.
No,
Yes. From Bristol, that's right, I understand, I know that. So because this aspect has been already discussed here more than once on this floor. This has been discussed, this issue. So if you are interested, you can get a cassette recording from the cassette department.
And we have tried with some of you these recording features.
No, I know that, I know. What I mean to say is that they have already prepared a catalogue, subject-wise, of all that was ever said anywhere, of which the recordings are available, even in Pakistan. So the department is about to publish that booklet. But before they do that, they know how to reach a particular subject and where. So you tell them, I want this subject, wherever it is discussed, and they will provide you that consent recording. Only what you have to do is to pay them £1, which you will get back after you return the cassette. Right? Fair enough. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes.
I was watching the news just the other day, and the Home Office figures for the point of prison, they said that there's 48,000 people in prison at the moment.
Pardon?
There are 48,000 people in prison today.
Where?
In Britain.
In Britain, yes.
And the point was that every 5 people went into prison, 3 after they'd come out of prison, returned to prison.
Right, that's right.
Now the point I want to raise is, in Islam, what is the effect of prison? Is it acting as a deterrent? Or what is the concept?
Yes, please. The concept of prison is only mentioned in the Holy Quran with regards to some wanton women who create a threat to the society with their bad, wicked character. There, the term used is closest to the term prison of today. But that sort of prison is internment in the house. A concept of a regular prison outside that is only found in the Holy Quran by way of a mention to a historical fact where Hazrat Yusuf ﷺ was kept in a prison by a non-Muslim government. As far as the injunctions of the Holy Quran go, there is not the slightest mention of any imprisonment except for the war prisoners. That is the only mention in the injunction of the Holy Quran which gives validity to some sort of imprisonment. And that is also not unconditional and unlimited. The moment it is mentioned by way of resolving the problem. How you should get rid of these prisoners, that is the issue involved. Not how they should be imprisoned, So the crime is that of committing a war. And when they are imprisoned, from that very moment, the injunctions begin to elaborate on the ways and means to liberate them. How they would be liberated. So this is Islam. as far as the prison goes. This is why the punishments for various crimes are other than imprisonment. The West raised such hue and cry and declares the cutting of the hands is barbaric and so on, while in reality, if you look at the other side of the picture, in bargain what they have got in the society is much more barbaric, much more cruel, both to the criminal as well as to the society. To the criminal, imprisonment is a great torture which most often does not reform them. It is very seldom that people are reformed in prison. In fact, what happens is that they become hardened criminals while previously they were not. Prison is abounding in crime experts on the wrong side of the, fence. So, the moment some innocent person goes there, he is taught how to become a hardened criminal and go about it professionally. And this is the result. I also chanced upon such a program on television, a discussion program, and there I was horrified to note that even a figure higher than you have quoted was mentioned, that instead of reforming our criminals, we are adding to their lists and we are giving them a sort of permanence. The youth most often which goes to the prison returns as a hardened criminal, and seldom would they repent. In fact, in the prison they plan for the next crime and they see to it that next time they are not caught, even if they have to kill. And in a country where the capital punishment again is lacking, this is a great incentive to them. It is one-sided killing. And when there is one-sided killing, then number is immaterial. To save your life, to save yourself the torture of imprisonment, if you can kill a few policemen or innocent civilians, why not? Already they have tasted the hell of imprisonment, so this is a machinery to promote crime and to bring havoc to the peace of the law-abiding citizens of the country. The hands which are severed at the hands of these thieves, the young and old which are maimed by the atrocities of these thieves, count their number, put them on one scale, and the number of such people whose hands are severed for crimes, not for in innocence, in an Islamic state, the scale of such people in the West would be much heavier than the scale of those who are punished for some crime. So, what is the bargain? In the bargain, you have such restless societies, so much mugging, the peace is totally destroyed, and more the countries are falling under the Western influence, the greater is the incidence of stealing and robbery and similar crimes. Look what's happening in Africa. In those regions of Africa where there is no Western influence or has not been Western influence, these things are missing, even today. There is a sort of peace, though, or a sort of lawlessness in the sense that no regular law is observed, but still the country in itself is at peace. When these people went to Africa, they faced open hostilities, but not this sort of crime which is now abounding the whole society in Kenya, everywhere. Once it was a heaven and now it has turned into a hell. They claim, particularly the British, that see what happened to them when we left them. This is what they come to. They used to, protest against our foreign presence and raise hue and cry against enslavement of Africa and so on. But they did not have a right to freedom. They don't know how to govern themselves. This is what they have brought the country to. But this is just a superficial analysis of the situation. In reality, when they left them, they had already destroyed their own traditional systems. They had got them shifted to a system which they were not fully familiar with, which they had not absorbed, of which they had no rooting in their own soil. The so-called Western democracy and the so-called military organizations and all that, they had not been digested, they had not been properly understood. They were just tools at the hands of inexperienced people. Like you give a fast car to someone who doesn't know how to drive. So all these are results of those. And the crime is directly emanates from the Western television pictures and movies, American movies and so on. When these Africans see these movies of mugging did not start in Africa, it started in America. It was imported from America to these countries. And when they see in the pictures what is happening in New York and other places, they start doing it. So again, all this, the whole pattern of crime everywhere in the world has its rootings in this non-ethical, non-religious concept of punishments. They have to return to the sanctuary of the Holy Quran if they want peace. Otherwise, they can go on attacking and the teachings of Islam as they please, but it has no substance, no reality in this. The reality is that Allah knows best how the human beings can be cured of their moral illnesses. And the system of punishment which is imposed by Allah is the only natural system. If you don't accept it, you will suffer the consequences as the West is suffering today. Any other question, please? Yes? Malik Nazir Sahab, have you got the prescription I left for you this morning?
Yes, I left it yesterday in the office there.
No, have you received the prescription which I left this morning?
No, I'm going to sit down.
So you can get it from Tahir Sahab. I told him to telephone you and give you the prescription on telephone. Which you didn't, or maybe he has left it with your wife.
No.
No?
I'm sure that,
You're coming from home now, directly?
I'm going to get tonight.
Yes, okay.
Thank you very much. So as we are talking about the Islamic State, I think it's appropriate time to ask you a question which I've been trying to ask you for some time, but I didn't have the courage, I must admit, to ask you.
Why didn't you have the courage? I mean,
There's the shyness of it.
just that, that's right.
The question is, in an ideal and modern Islamic state of today,
Yes.
what would be the system of forming a government to run the state? Would it be an elected government by the people or nominated by the
Yes, I have already answered this question. According to my study of the Holy Quran and the tradition of the Holy Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, there is no definite system of government given to human beings as Islamic system of government. None whatsoever. That is to say, how the government should be formed and what should be the nature of those governments, democratic or sovereign governments or dictatorship or whatever, nothing is mentioned. While Islam discusses, the Quran discusses, historically many such governments who were either run by the kings or by the people themselves, governments of mutual consultation as well, or religious governments as well, who were directly governed by the resurgence of Allah on earth, who also held the political authority. These three types of governments are mentioned in the Holy Quran, and none is declared as Islamic government as such. Now, what is the corollary we draw from this? My conclusion is that Islam does not insist on one particular form of government, but it very positively insists on how the government should carry their responsibilities towards the people. So one end is fully covered in such detail that one is surprised, and the other end is left open. For a universal religion, it had to be like this, because even today, in this age of progress, all the people on earth are not at the same stage of progress. Various peoples in various countries are living at different ages, though apparently it is 1986. But even today in Africa there are some people who are living in AD era. Some people in Australia are living in an AD era, I know. And so many other people in so many other parts of the world are living at different stages of history as far as their human development and the progress of their civilization and the form of government are concerned. So no one single form of government can ever suit all the people of the earth together at one time. Much talked about democracy has totally failed in the third world, because whatever has come out of this democracy has most often a form of dictatorship with the sanction of the people behind it, that's all. And the worst type of oppression have resulted from this democratic exercise in various countries of the world. What is the communist system? It has its roots in democracy. In the name of democracy, the worst type of communal governments, worst in the sense that they have a total sway over everything. And in dictatorships, they are complete and consummate. So in that sense, I mean worse. Worst type of dictatorships have been born out of democracy in one half of the world. And in other countries, it is just democracy is divided into various ladders. If Britain is standing on the top, Germany would not be standing on the same ladder. It would be standing to the next or in the third or maybe some other ladder. So the organized democracies of the world, which are most advanced, even they do not belong to the same age of progress and development. How could Islam then categorically and empirically determine one form of government for the entire world? If it could not, how could Islam claim to be a universal religion? So as far as the type of government is concerned, how it should be elected and whether elected at all or not, Islam gives us what the government should do and what the government may not do. For the people, that is the last part of democratic definition, that is laid stress upon, and to such a degree that every government, whatever form of the government be, finds itself completely caged in and finds very little room for spending the money in the wrong places or behaving to the people wrongly, because you should be just, you should do this, you should do that, no corruption and all that, all that sort of thing, how the government should be carried out. A complete picture of a secular government is created in the Holy Quran. This is the beauty of the Holy Quran. In the name of Islam, the concept of government which is given by the Holy Quran, as far as the dispensation of duties is concerned, is totally secular. And it categorically rejects the idea of religious sentiments playing their part in the way of justice. Even it carries the idea as far as telling the Muslims that even the enmity of those who prevented you forcefully from entering Kaaba for the simple act of performing Hajj, should not deter you from dispensation of absolute justice. Even to your religious enemies, you should dispense with complete and absolute justice. And then it condemns some systems of the earlier governments which were cruel to the people, which were unjust, which usurped their rights, which in their governments people were suffering from hunger and this and that. And the very first government described is that of Adam. And the very first conditions laid down there are that no one must suffer from hunger, no one must suffer from paucity of clothes, one must suffer from lack of water, and no one must suffer from lack of roof over his head. These are the four conditions in different terms, of course, but to this effect have been laid down in the Holy Quran for the first heaven that was created for Adam and by Adam, as we believe. So that again falls in the direction of the duties of the government, not what sort of government that be. That government was directly created by God. He was the vicegerent of Allah. Yet as far as the duties towards the people are concerned, they are exactly the same, whether they are kings or dictators or elected members of the society, doesn't make any difference. Now what is the next question, which was hovering on your lips first?
I'm a little bit confused over here. You said the principle of running a government, you have explained it, and I can understand and
Yes.
about that. But the question still remains that in the modern age, if the time comes, who will elect the government?
Where the time comes, that is the question. If this time comes in Africa, that government will be run according to the African traditions, whichever suits the people. After all, it is the will of the people which is most important.
And is it not because we have left it very vague, we do not find any...
No, Islam has left it vague intentionally, and we can prove it why. A government must be run according to the background of the people, their historical background, their traditional background, their inclinations, and so on and so forth. And any government which is not in conformity with these trends will be a foreign government imposed upon them. Systems can also be foreign, not only the people who rule from foreign countries. There are some systems which are alien and foreign to the local people. So if such systems are imposed on them in the name of the Holy Quran or any other name, that would still be bringing them under a foreign rule, a rule which is not, which doesn't spring from themselves. So this is why Islam has not clearly laid down what form of government you should follow. As I suppose, let's start again from that, which I thought I had already made clear, but now I understand I failed to do so. Let's start by taking the example of democracy, the Western democracy. If Islam had dictated that the only form of government acceptable to Allah would be the British democracy, then would this democracy work in, for instance, Kenya or Tanzania or Uganda or Saudi Arabia or Aborigines of Australia and the Red Indians of America and so on and so forth equally well, you think? Can you believe that?
No.
Does it work ideally in Pakistan?
No.
Has it ever worked?
No, but it works in Western countries.
All of them? All of them?
Most.
No. In reality, what happens is, if you go deeper, you will find that in the name of democracy, a government is elected, and after it's elected, then it cares a fig for what's happening to the people. Only they are oriented in the direction of the future election. They have to please the people by fraud or by real service only, keeping the next election in the end, and beyond that they are free to do whatever they please. And moreover, it is impossible for this democracy to work. It is impossible, because the people who elect a person are a few 100,000, and the person is not known to them in reality. Whether such person would be loyal to the cause of that party to which he belongs, even that is not certain. Whether he is a corrupt man or incorrupt man, whether he is devoted to the cause or not devoted to a cause, whether ultimately he would prove to be a Russian spy or not, that even happens. Such people have no means to find. So this is just a throw of the dice. Good people may be elected and good people may not be elected. But their representative position will always be challenged in reality. Because how can you judge a man by listening to a speech here and there, and that is particularly when it is oriented to win votes? So all that is just, a fake concept that they are really the representatives of the people. And very often it happens after they are elected, they are expected to do certain other things than what they were elected for. In that it is democratic, of course. When a person is elected in some borough, even in England, which you consider the ideal democracy, they go to him for helping them against police cases, against immigration cases, against this and that, taking sides with them for that purpose or the other purpose, and so on. And most of the poor MPs are involved in this task, are serving individuals of their constitution. Otherwise they will earn them a bad name. While this was not the party manifesto for which they were elected. And then it is not considered whether the work is right or wrong. An influence has to be brought in favor of some work, and if it's not exerted in favor of that work, then the people would say, all right, that MP is rejected. So that is just a little, one small example, a very cursory criticism. But I know, I have studied this in depth in our country. And also I have made certain comparisons here. The democracy, the so-called democracy, is just an idealism. It doesn't exist. This is why Plato himself described the ideal democracy to be an ever-eluding value which would never be achieved by man. He declared it he gave it the name of polity. Like the socialists nowadays say, that the ultimate end is that of communism. And so far we have not achieved communism, manifestation of communism anywhere in the world. This is what they admit and claim. Why? To avoid certain objections. Because their states have not run according to the perfect pattern of communism. So they say, yes, we know that, but we are traveling towards it. It's a process which has not yet matured. So the democratic countries of the world say we are traveling towards polity. While in fact in most cases they are reverting to older values or some other system, but not to democracy. True democracy, if you want to study true democracy honestly, the closest thing to it would be found in Ahmadiyya elections, nowhere else. If polity can ever be achieved on earth, you can go to examine how the Ahmadiyya elections are held, and then you'll realize, you'll feel in yourself that the process of democracy is now in the formation. If it's real democracy, I mean. Of course there are drawbacks there, so it's not perfect, I don't say that. But still I insist, if there is anything closest to democracy, it is Ahmadiyya system. So Islam in that way trains the people for honest thinking, honest elections, honestly placing their respect, where it should be directed, where the true respect should be directed. In akramakum indallahi atqakum, such messages are reminded repeatedly in so many ways. So the society which is brought up under true Islamic system, that is well capable of running a government, whatever the form of government be. Because in the final analysis, this is the ultimate of my study, of a lifetime I must say. In the ultimate analysis, it is the people who run the government which are more important than the system in which the government is run. The systems always fail because of the people. And if the people are good, whatever the system be, the government would be well run. So Islam lays special stress on the quality of people as well. It teaches them how to be human beings, how to perfect their values, how to raise their standards of dispensation of justice and so on. So it's a complete system in itself. I mean, it can't be described entirely here in this short session, but I have given you a taste of what Islam is in this regard. Yes, please. After Malik, please.
Just to ask if Rara is that question, since you obviously know about Islam so well, could you please inform me, in your opinion, what would be the best form for Pakistan government?
Again, my answer would be that any government, whatever form, the form of government, who is capable of dispensing their duties according to the standards laid down by Islam, that should be the ideal government for Pakistan. The manner how they are brought up, the system, whether it is presidential or democratic, that is the prime ministerial system and so on, they are just minor things. At present, we are passing through a very critical phase, a phase where the systems are brought into focus and the quality of people is totally ignored and forgotten. So the curse lies in this direction, while cure is being sought in the direction where the curse does not lie. What happens is that the people who, even before their election, who want to be elected, who expect a party to issue them a ticket, they have already begun to dream about how they will extort money from the government offices as well as from the masses, how they will get license and what should be the fee of that license, and how they would go to the SHOs, the police stations in charges, and how they would support this and that, how they would support their party, whether they are right or wrong. All that has already formed a part of their daydreaming and much more. So when they go into a government with these ideals, and in their background they have seen many corrupt people running the government and suddenly becoming rich, what system can you expect to work? Can you? I can't. So the most important thing is raising the moral standard of the party workers, to educate the political parties, and this should be their slogan, that we are going to educate our party to discipline them, to tell them how to run a government, and to make them selfless as far as we can, and to set the standards of austerity before them in practice and demonstrate them from high downwards. If any government, or any political party I should say, is ready to demonstrate this to the people and to undertake this onerous task, such party would be immortalized in the history of Pakistan. None can threaten in any form such a party, because people in their hearts, although they have turned corrupt, they want honesty, they are crying for honesty. They are dying for it. They are not getting it. So the inner voice, inner cry of the masses of Pakistan is honest people, honest government. Yet every fiber has become so involved in dishonesty that the people with the same cries, when they are put in a position where they have to deal with others, they would again deal corruptly. So that is the dilemma. For this, a lot of work has to be undertaken by the political parties, and unfortunately for Pakistan, I don't see even that even in the offing. You know, once I tried to introduce certain things into some parties where I had a little influence, just a morsel of influence. But they rejected those views, those ideas, those attempts of mine. They would listen with complete accord and apparent thankfulness and say, yes, it's a very good idea. This is how the country should be run. And the moment I would turn my back, they would turn their back to me. Okay. Yes, please. Aftaram Khan sahab, please. Islam.
I must thank you for a very incisive comment on the values of differentiation between good government and the system of government. I think all those who are interested in political science must try to hear the cassette and read it. So I think it was useful aspect of our lives, particularly in the Western world. The gentleman who asked this question, I think there is no definition of Western democracy. The three countries, that is very brief, three countries which claim to be the soul of the Western world: United States, Britain and France. If we look at what is happening there, in the United States, the elections of the system of government is so confused, and it has reached a stage where we say that the President of the United States is elected in Tel Aviv, not in Washington.
Quite, yes.
In
And this too, yes.
France, recent elections took place on proportionate voting basis. The new government has decided to scrap that system.
Right.
So how the government is elected, or the system of government becomes really immaterial. It's only a name, it's only a prayer. And in this country, the Prime Minister, I believe, is stronger than any other leader in any other Western country. She can decide whatever she wants to do, irrespective of the considerations of the party.
And run away with it as well.
In any case, the Prime Minister, who is the leader of the party which wins the election,
Right.
At least in the Conservative Party, is never elected on popular basis. The elections, past elections of Harold Macmillan, of Lord William, and Margaret Thatcher, these were all results of intrigues.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So I think we talk about any system that was...
I think you are coming too strong when you use the word intrigues, but let's say bargaining, political bargaining and lobbying.
Sir, I want to using a term which the Conservative Party leaders themselves use when Pakula was ruled out. And in place of him, I believe...
But you know, if a blind man calls himself blind, he's not heard. But if somebody else does that, he feels the pinch of it, you know.
So the best description about Western democracy has been given, that if one is looking for Western democracy,
Yes.
it is like a blind man in a dark room looking for a black cat which is not there.
Right. Yes, please, Bashir Yasab, 5 minutes left only. This time you raised your hands a bit earlier. Did I say that? I said, did I say that?
5 minutes left and you are raising hand.
So I was very happy with that. Yes, please.
We seek Hazur's advice about Quran Ami, Khatam, Chehram and Kul Sharif. What or how should...
The others are not Sharif, only Kul is Sharif. Only you find something Sharif about Kul and about nothing else. Huh?
He's quoting.
They're all Sharif. It's good. Yes. You know, Brother Thomas, you know the meaning of Sharif? Sharif means noble. So he used various terms about some rights in the name of Islam which are not Islamic originally, but they have rights which have come into Islam somehow, been having infiltrated there from other societies. Anyway, so he named all these various rights plainly, and when he reached the word Kul, he said Kul Sharif. That means this is the right which has a nobility about it. So that is why I asked him why this particularly is considered as a noble right by him and not the rest of it. To keep you abreast of what's happening, I'm telling you this. Yes, please. Yes.
Already said that they're all Sharif.
You see? He says, I have already said that they're all Sharif. But not acceptable at the same time. Pan? Don't you know it? Have you ever done any of this sharafat? Tell me. Have you ever done any such thing yourself?
Nothing.
Why? Why do you avoid this sharafat and still you tell me that they are Sharif?
It's a common known term.
Okay.
My question starts here. What or how should we behave if we are present on such occasions, particularly with respect to taking part in reading the Sifara of the Holy Quran, eating food or taking tea, etc., given on these occasions?
Yes. Well, if you go there on an empty stomach, it would be very hard to prevent you from participating in that. You know, any food which is not given in the name other than that of God cannot be declared haram as such. But if you go to such occasions and participate in their ceremonies, their rites, and also eat of what is served there, then naturally on human basis they would expect such things from you as well. Because such occasions would also occur in your lifetime, in your family, etc., where they would expect the same return of courtesy. So it is better not to participate, otherwise it will be just one-sided eating their things, and not offering them any when they come to you. As far as most of these ceremonies revolve around serving of food and things on some excuse or another, but they are a great burden on the society. That is the most important part of it. It is such a terrible burden on the poor that in the name of religious rights, which are not religious rights, that is to say not Islamic rights, they are compelled to serve food for hundreds of people sometimes, or at least scores of people, and regularly to feed the mullah on certain days, and on certain particular days they have to throw large feasts. In honor of what? In honor of a dead person. It's all meaningless. It is un-Islamic. So you must lodge a protest against this. If you go there and quietly to start eating of the food being served, how can you lodge a protest? You should tell them this is a burden you have brought upon the society, which Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had relieved the society, as the Holy Quran tells us. There were shackles in your way, and they were broken by Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you are starting carrying all that burden once again. This is the suicidal policy. Leave that and return to the original pure Islam. This should be the message. So if you go and start cooperating with them, not cooperating but doing the same things in their company, then you lose this this aspect of Ahmadiyya beneficence, which must flow from you to the other society.
This happened only a few days ago with me.
So, were you on empty stomach? Did you eat something there or not? Right. I mean, come to terms now. I mean, let's avoid this, beating about the bush. Come on.
A friend of mine who is not an Ahmadi, is a Muslim, who also had the honor to come to Hazur's Majlis farm here. So he became so close to us. So his wife and my wife their daughter the other day before she. So I went as part of
now I understand why you call Kul Sharif. You are personally involved in a Kul. Yes. Okay. Yes.
To the Wimbledon Mosque.
Yes.
For the funeral.
Yes.
Although I did not attend.
Of course, yes.
And I sympathize with them.
Of course, that's a very good thing. Very good thing. You did well.
In order to avoid the Sharif,
Yes.
I went the same evening because the following day was the Full Sharif, so I said I must avoid. I went the same evening to just for the sympathy, and the next day I did not go.
Correct.
So I went some days after that.
Yes.
And I explained that we Ahmadis don't practice these things.
Yes.
There was another non-Ahmadi lady who came to see my wife, and I also explained her. But in their house I went and
Explain everything to them, yes.
and they explained that we Ahmadis don't do it.
Right.
We think that these rights have entered into Islamic society, and Sayyidina Muslim of the rest now has taken us from all these. So we are relieved of these burdens. So I explained.
Thank you. You carried yourself very well. With the grace of Allah, I am very happy. This is exactly what I wanted you to do. What I was telling you. If you begin to participate, the question is not involved whether it is haram or halal. Because as I have said, haram and halal, that is forbidden and not forbidden, are very clear in the Holy Quran. And no man on earth has a right to declare anything haram, that is forbidden, which Allah has not declared haram. So this is not the issue involved at all. The issue is the one which I have explained. These are burdens of the society. These are later day additions to Islam which should be removed as redundancies. And sometimes the crop is cleaned of the growth which has no right to be in that field. So these are the growths which suck the blood of the society. Like any other growth sucks the blood of the main crop. So that is the reason why I don't want Ahmadis to be involved in these things in the way you have done. That is the ideal way. I also went once to one non-Ahmadi's funeral, a friend of mine at that time, and I told them, I warned them before, I sent a message there before, that don't misunderstand me. I'll pray for the boy who was dead, but I'll not raise hands like others do when somebody enters and you do this, and it's just a show business and nothing more in it. So don't misunderstand me. It's not boycotting your funeral, it is going about it properly. So because the word had been sent before, so all the people who were present, they were informed that when he comes, don't raise your hands like this. So nobody did. So it was all right.
One more instance. Once I had a friend of mine, who died. I went for a visit to the family. He was living near me. And after the burial, we came back and I went to the same evening. The food was out. I took food because it was not part of that bowl of just a dinner.
So, अच्छा. It was not food, it was dinner. Now I don't have to comment on this. Was it good? No. I'm not asking for any explanation because the message has been conveyed properly to all present.
Sometimes it is a practice that we have got friends.
No, I don't know. No explanation is required, I must say. Why are you worried about it? I'm just asking, was the food...
Quite positive, I did the right thing.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. We should always do the right thing about you. And was the food good? Fun? Wholesome, was nothing, there was nothing special about it?
I don't think so. It was a good food, but
There must be something very special about it, some feature.
it's a customary that when somebody is in family, somebody is dead, the relatives bring food because they can't cook for 2 or 3 days, so the relatives bring and they all together.
I see, so it was a food like that. That's all right then. There's no harm in that. Why I was asking this? Because if it was a special food, then it must have been connected with some rite. No, it wasn't. So this was the food brought by relatives. This is a good tradition which is, just to help the poor people in so many ways. First of all, they are involved in the funeral and attending to the guests and so on, and they have no time to look after foods. Secondly, because of this accident, this untoward is happening in the family, there is an influx of visitors which normally don't come to houses, and they also keep sitting at the time of foods and things, at the time of dinners and lunches, etc. So they can't be told off at that time. So naturally the strain on the family is extraordinary in those days. So if for that purpose they are helped and the sense of cooperation is extended, there is no harm at all. So you ate that food. Good. It's good you explained, because otherwise other people, all the people who thought it was a different type of food you ate it. Yes. Now I understand why you insisted on explaining. Jazakallah. Any other question, please? Yes. Please.
In continuation to that,
please. Yes. Yes, please. Yes.
Some people can request or believe that your Quran is the same as ours. We are doing Khatm of Quran. They sometimes insist because not many people can perform. Can you read a couple of parts for us, please?
No. This is again wrong, because this was not done in the time of Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Our principal objection is this. You should tell them that if you want to see us reciting the Holy Quran, every morning in our houses the Holy Quran is recited. We don't wait for a death to occur before we start reciting the Holy Quran.
So they say we believe that we don't do it, but only for the sake of reading. What's wrong with it?
Well, let them not believe. What harm? The fact is that you believe. Why should you deviate from the right path for the sake of those who have already deviated? To please them is not important. What is important is to please God.
This is what I said.
We are fighting for the re-establishment of Sunnah. This is such a noble task that no quarters would be given in this regard. Absolutely no quarters. unless we put our foot firmly down, we will not be able to re-establish the Sunnah, the traditional Islam. So we have to sacrifice. Even sometimes you may hear some abuses which would hurt you, but still you be adamant on this. Tell them we are people of principle. If you want to find out, I can recite, you can take your Holy Quran along with them. You can show them, look here, this is the, open any chapter from anywhere. But to follow into the groove of your traditions, which are un-Islamic, that you tell them cannot happen for me.
But you see, he's a friend of mine, and then they try to say insisting on that one. Oh, because your Quran is different, that's why you don't want to study it.
No, that's not way of doing things, no settling.
No, it's our Quran is exactly the same.
Did they know that? No, did they come to know this fact only after the death of their relatives? When they first came to know this, it was their duty, if they were true friends, as you tell them they are friends. The moment they heard this thing of you, they should have asked you this question straightforwardly and put you to test. And this is insane, to wait till somebody in the family should die, and then they should start testing the fact that you believe in the Holy Quran or you do not believe in the Holy Quran.
No, because you see that excuse they started using. Well, that's why your Mullah is right then, because your Quran must be different. That's about it.
So you are fully convinced of that, I guess. You seem to be fully convinced of their argument. There is no difficulty I am facing today. You seem so fully convinced of their argument to me, which is absolutely hollow and meaningless, that there is no point in further discussing this question. No?
The question is, because you see, I told them that again in the first instance they insisted it is the same Quran. Well, you just read it in your house, these two scholarly of people. Now we don't want to talk show or something, anything like that. We just read it.
What do you mean? This is nonsense. Just read it. Why that particular occasion? You can invite them to your house and say, all right, you come to my house at some other occasion, I'll invite you, and if you want me to read the whole Quran, I would go on reading it. No harm. But to fall in the groove of that particular right of yours by deceit, that you tell them, I am not going to do. Oh, yes. Yes, please.
This is about Quran as well. When I was managing my shop, there was
You're doing what?
When I was managing my own shop,
Yes.
and in those days one of the shopkeepers, Muslim,
Yes.
and he said he has opened an off license which can sell the wine.
Alcohol, wines, etc. Yes, right.
And he said, can you find me a mullah? I want to say, Khatam Quran.
See? This is what we will be ultimately dragged to. For the opening ceremony of a wine shop, they will ask you just to demonstrate that you have the same Holy Quran. Come and read the Holy Quran here.
I told you, you have already done it. Because Quran says, don't do that for business, and you are doing it. You have already Khatam the Quran.
Well said. I must say, very well said. Yes.
And he said, oh, I know you got your need to dress.
You know what he said was, this, have you understood what he's saying? No. Khatm means to finish. And Khatm Quran means finishing of the Holy Quran. The word finish can be used with a pun on it. To finish in the sense that starting reading from the beginning till the end, and to finish to do away with it, you know. So this is what is involved here in this dialogue. A friend of his, a non-Ahmadi Muslim, once came to him and told him that he was looking for a mullah who would do the Khatm Quran, that is the finishing of the Holy Quran. And he asked what was the big occasion. He said, you don't know, I have got a wine shop and for the opening ceremony I want to do this Khatm-e-Quran. So he said, why do you have to go for a mullah? You have already done it. By opening a wine shop, you have finished the Holy Quran. So the same word Khatm was used with a pun, indicating here the finishing or doing away, So you have done away with the Holy Quran. So this was enjoyed by everybody. It was a very apt remark.